Very warm welcome, dear lovelies. Today I will explain a new poem in your MCP textbook, The Duck and the Kangaroo, written by Edward Lear. This is a very simple poem and an interesting poem, and it is actually a dialogue between a pond-bound duck and a kangaroo who represents the duck's greatest chance at freedom. So in this poem we can see only two characters, as the title itself shows, the duck and the kangaroo, and we can see the friendship that is building between them. So this is the poet Edward Lear. He was an American artist, illustrator, musician, author and a poet, multi-talented personality. And he is best known for his literary nonsense and poetry and prose, especially his limericks. So you should know what do you mean by limericks. This is a type of poem developed by Edward Lear. Okay, and it is a humorous 5-line poem with a rhyme scheme AABBA. It is a very humorous. Only 5 lines will be there and it will be having the rhyme scheme AABBA. So when you are hearing the word Edward Lear, you should remember this word, limericks. And his travel journals were published in several volumes as the illustrated travels of a landscape painter. So this is all about Edward Lear. And so now let's go deeply into the poem, The Duck and the Kangaroo. This is a humorous poem of a kind known as Nonsense Verse by Edward Lear. Said the duck to the kangaroo, "Good gracious, how you hope over the fields and the water too, as if you would never stop. My life is a bore in this nasty pond and I long to go out in the world beyond. I wish I could hop like you," said the duck to the kangaroo. So first line itself we can see this is like a conversation poem. Okay, and there is a conversation between the duck and the kangaroo. The duck is telling, "Good gracious." Good gracious means it is an exclamation used in order to show the surprise or annoyance, and here it is a surprise. Okay, he is so surprised to see how nicely the kangaroo is hopping. Okay, hopping means jumping. It can be jumping in one foot. Okay, so how nicely the kangaroo is jumping. So kangaroo is being seen in Australia. So we can say this poem is being set in Australia. Good gracious, how you hop over the fields and the water too. Wow, how nicely you are just hopping over the fields and water. How gracefully you are just hopping over the fields and water, as if you would never stop. My life is a bore in this nasty pond and I long to go out in the world beyond. I wish I could hop like you, said the duck to the kangaroo. The duck is feeling sorry for himself as his own life is really boring in the nasty pond, and the duck wishes he could hop like the kangaroo and see the world beyond the pond. Now the second stanza. "Please give me a ride on your back," said the duck to the kangaroo. "I would sit quite still and say nothing but quack the whole of the long day through, and we would go to the Dee and the Jelly Bolly, over the land and over the sea. Please take me a ride or do," said the duck to the kangaroo. So here the duck is just requesting the kangaroo to give him a ride on his back. Okay, and he also promises that he would sit quietly on the kangaroo's back, not saying anything apart from a quack the whole day long. Quack means the sound that is produced by the duck is quack sound. Quack, quack, quack. Okay, I will not make any other sound rather than quack. And they would go to the Dee and the Jelly Bolly. These are just imaginary places. These are not real places. Okay, this is just an imagination of Edward Lear. And the duck is requesting the kangaroo that we will go to Dee and the Jelly Bolly and over the land and over the sea. And the duck again earnestly entreats the kangaroo to give him a ride. Again he is requesting, "Please give me a ride on your back." Now the third stanza. Said the kangaroo to the duck, this requires some little reflection. Perhaps on the whole it might bring me luck, and there seems but one objection, which is if you will let me speak so bold, your feet are unpleasantly wet and cold, and would probably give me the rheumatis, said the kangaroo. So now only we can hear the kangaroo is also talking. Till now, the duck was having a conversation with kangaroo, and now the kangaroo is telling this requires some little reflection. Your request, you have asked me one request, you have asked me one favor. And if I have to do that, I need some reflection. Reflection means I have to ponder, I have to think for a while. Perhaps on the whole it might bring me luck, and there seems but one objection. Even though everything is fine, there is one objection, there is one problem. In order to grant your request, there is one problem, which is if you will let me speak so bold, your feet are unpleasantly wet and cold, and would probably give me the rheumatis, said the kangaroo. So here you might be worried, what is the meaning of rheumatis? That is actually rheumatism. Okay. Rheumatism means it is a disorder which causes severe pain in our joints or connective tissues. That is a rheumatism, and the spelling is wrong. And this is your work. You just find out the correct spelling of rheumatism. This spelling is wrong. Here the poet has used this word just to give a rhyming scheme to this poem. The spelling is another one. You just find it out. I have told you the meaning. The disorder which causes severe pain in joints or connective tissues is called rheumatism. Okay. So now the kangaroo just ponders over the duck's proposal seriously, and he has an objection to his request because the duck's feet are cold from water and would give him rheumatism. Give the kangaroo rheumatism if the duck sat on his back for a ride. In the fourth stanza, we can see there is a solution to the kangaroo's problem. Okay, the duck is going to give a solution. See, said the duck, as I sat on the rocks, I have thought over that completely, and I bought 4 pairs of worsted socks which fit my webbed feet neatly. And to keep out the cold, I have bought a clock, and every day a cigar I will smoke, all to follow my own dear true love of a kangaroo. So here the duck is giving many solutions to the problems of kangaroo. Okay, and he is telling that what all things I have bought. I bought some socks, I bought a clock, and I will smoke a cigar, and I will follow your words. See, the duck has a quick solution to the kangaroo's problem. He says that he is carrying a pair of woolen socks which will keep his feet neat and warm. And there is a specialty for the duck's feet. It is a web feet. It is not like our feet. It is a web feet. And in order to keep it warm, he will use a pair of woolen socks, and he is also carrying a clock, and he would smoke a cigar daily. Cigar means cigarette. Okay, he will smoke a cigar daily and enjoy the company of his dear kangaroo. The kangaroo, I am ready, all in the moonlight pale, but to balance me well, dear duck, sit steady and quiet at the end of my tail. So away they went with a hop and a bound, and they hopped the whole world 3 times round. And who so happy, oh who, as the duck and the kangaroo? So now the kangaroo is pretty much happy, and the kangaroo agreed with the request of duck. Okay, the kangaroo finally agrees to take the duck on a ride. In the moonlight, the duck is seen sitting steady on the kangaroo's tail, and they hop around the world thrice. There is no one so happy as the kangaroo and the duck. So the kangaroo just told the duck to sit at the end of his tail and just be steady, and they just went around the world 3 times, and they are the most happiest pair in this world. So this is all about the explanation of this poem, and let me quickly rewind what all things I have told till now. Okay, first thing, this poem is a little bit nonsensical poem, but there is a lesson to be learned. Okay, The duck is disgruntled with his life and sees the kangaroo's life as being more exciting and adventurous. And he entreats the kangaroo for a ride, and the kangaroo objects only because the duck is sure to have cold feet, because most of the time the duck is in water, so he might be having cold feet. The duck assures the kangaroo that he has several pairs of warm socks, a cloak, and a cigar, which would keep the cold at bay. So the duck and the kangaroo start their tour and go around the earth thrice. They just went around the earth thrice. The duck and the kangaroo are very different, but they resolve their difference by cooperating with each other. That is the main thing. They just resolve their difference by cooperating with each other. So, if you're asking me what is the main message of this poem, I could say that we should enjoy our life. Okay, we should not stuck ourselves in a boring routine, and we should enjoy many adventures and try new things to get over the boredom of a fixed routine. Here, the duck is bored in his pond because he has been there all his life. He wanted to go on an adventure to the Dee and the Jelly Bolly, and he convinced the kangaroo to take him along. And the poet also teaches that every problem that besets us has a solution, just as a duck thought of a solution for his wet and cold feet that the kangaroo was guarded about. So, this is all about the message of this poem. Now, we can just focus on the literary devices used in this poem, and we will begin with the rhyme scheme. So, as we are having 5 stanzas in this poem, first and second stanza they are entirely different, and the third, fourth, and fifth stanzas they are the same with a rhyme scheme. Okay, so when we are looking in stanza 1, the last words in stanza 1, kangaroo, hope, to, stop, pond, beyond, you, kangaroo. So the rhyme scheme will be A, B, A, B, C, C, A, A. Okay. And in stanza 2, back, kangaroo, quack, through, lee, see, do, kangaroo. So here it will become A, B, A, B, C, C, B, B. So likewise you can just find out the stanzas 3, 4 and 5. Okay. Then the next important one is alliteration. Alliteration, already I have told you, alliteration is a repetition of a consonant sound at the start of a 2 or more closely placed words. Means the adjacent words, if it begins with the same consonant sound there, we can say it is alliteration. The first stanza itself we can say good gracious. G sound is a consonant sound and it is repeating. Then how you hope. In the second line itself, how you hope. H sound is repeating. Likewise, C. 6 examples are there for alliteration. Next one is anaphora. Anaphora. Anaphora means when the same word is used at the start of 2 or more consecutive lines. That is called anaphora. See in these lines, and to keep out the cold I have bought a clock, and every day a cigar I will smoke. Here and it is being repeated. In the same consecutive lines, and word is repeated. So we can say the poetic device is anaphora. Okay. If only one word is repeated, that is anaphora. But if a whole sentence or a group of words is repeated, that is called a refrain. That is the next one. The use of the musical rhyming sentence throughout the poem, said the duck to the kangaroo, has been repeated to lay stress on the request made by the duck to the kangaroo. See, the whole line is repeated. Every time we can say, said the duck to the kangaroo, said to the duck to the kangaroo. About 5 times it is, minimum 5 times it will be repeated in all stanzas. Okay. So, this usage is called a refrain. If one word is repeated, that is anaphora. A group of words is repeated, that is refrain. Now the last poetic device is inversion. It is a new poetic device for you. You might be knowing the format of any sentence will be subject, verb, object. This is the normal format of a sentence. But in this form, we can see the writer has purposefully changed the format. Okay. normal order, he just changed it. That is called inversion. See, inversion is a term used to refer to the inverting of the normal word order in a sentence or phrase. And writers will use inversion to maintain a particular meter or rhyme scheme in poetry or to emphasize a specific word in prose. See, in this example, said the duck to the kangaroo. Said is a verb, duck is the subject, and kangaroo is the object. But I told you the normal order of a sentence is subject, verb, object. But here it comes verb, subject, object. The writer has purposefully changed it. If there is a change like that, then we can say the poetic device is inversion. So this is all about the poem The Duck and the Kangaroo.